Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode of Deep Linkers. I'm here with my host Drew Grant. Also today with my good old Freddie, and my old buddy and friend, Joe Johnson.
I'll be your Freddie.
Joe, thank you so much for being here, man.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You may know Joe from his channel, Tabletop Jocks, that has a cavalcade of guests on every week, just like on every episode. It's just a long time coming because I was talking off camera. Joe and I started my sort of personal internet tenure with our old podcast, the Nerd Chronic podcast, so it's where the name Nerd Chronic comes from. We met through a mutual friend of ours, Cam, who put us all together and said we just would have a good time, sort of like riffing about, movies, comic books, stuff like that, mutual interests. And that's sort of how I just discovered the internet, so to speak. I didn't have any social media before that. I helped run the Nerd Chronic social media stuff and then sort of like, kept it going for the last several years. But since then, now working for Passion Fruit, learning much more about the internet culture, and watching you on your channel as well. I've just been really excited to have you on, talk to you about like just that journey for yourself too over the last several years and what you've gone through with that.
Yeah, no, it's been a journey for both of us because I think we kind of both like took off and went in completely different paths.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I think that's just what happens. I think honestly, like during the pandemic, I guess around that time is when I figured, okay, we're just sitting around. Like, what should we do? What should we, figure out and like start to, bring to the table? I'm not going back to bartending anytime soon. So what else is there?
Yeah.
I got put on a buddy of mine named Craig as he was working for a company called Command Zone. And they also have a podcast and they run a big successful game commander game called Game Nights, and it's a Magic the Gathering channel, and they asked me to be a part of it, and I was like, sure, why not? I don't know what that is, but whatever.
Yeah.
And that all my friends were just like, dude, you're gonna be on Game Nights? I'm like, yeah, what's the big deal? And so I went on there, had a great time, a lot of laughs, a lot of fun. And I was always wary of like YouTube comments because I was like, oh, everyone's gonna be terrible, they're gonna be racist, they're gonna be just like the worst scum of the earth. Right. And so I had Julie look at it and she was like, scrolling on the comments. She was like, everyone actually loves you.
Oh, wow.
That's great.
Really? I was like, nothing bad? She's like, no. I'm like scrolling through hundreds and hundreds of comments. Everyone fucking loves you. And I'm like, interesting.
Yeah.
So I talked to a buddy of mine. He was just like, look, the metrics say people want you to do magic content. They like you in the space. You should just do it. And so from there, I was kind of skeptical. I hadn't even like had a Twitter at the time. I was like, whatever. I mean, now who cares? But at the time, I was like, I'm not even going to sign up. Who cares? Whatever. I don't care.
Good choice.
So they had me on the channel. Yeah. So they had me on the channel again several months later. And my buddy Rachel was like, yo, you got to make a Twitter. Everyone's trying to tag you. Everyone's trying to like DM you stuff, this and this and this. I was like, okay, fine. And so I caved in and I finally because I was just like mostly just like, hey, I'm just be on Instagram and that's kind of it, whatever. And then I started TikTok and then that was like, my outlet to like make sketches. Cause like I had always like had a passion for like having a sketch group, but like not having like the means to get everyone together. And so I was like, oh, this is kind of like a sketch group by myself. Or, whatever. And so I started on TikTok. I was like, oh, this is like Vine 2.0.
Yeah, exactly.
For those that can remember Vine.
Not that young.
Yeah. So I kind of like, because I got on like the very tail end of Vine and started making content like as they announced, they're like, yeah, it's no more. And so I was like, oh, this is like time for me to like get back into that kind of content creating. Which I love. Like I love like sketches. I love comedy. I have some friends on SNL. I'm not trying to like, but like they're like that's my jam. Mad TV was like when I was a little kid. Mad TV was like my goal. I was like, oh my god, I want to be on Mad TV. I want to be on the sketch with Will Sasso, and that's it. That was like all I wanted to do. And obviously Mad TV, it plummeted, but I still love sketch comedy. I still love improv. I still love collaborating. I booked a shit ton of commercials during the pandemic in like 2021, and only like one of them aired. which was crazy because like back in the day, like when I first started acting, it was like, oh man, you book a national, you're set for like a year and a half to 2 years straight. I booked 7 national commercials. Only one of them aired. Well, two of them aired.
Yeah.
And I was not set for it. Was like 3 months of like, all right, cool, I'm good. I don't have to like struggle. That's how like the dynamic is switched. Which, you know, it is what it is. I've gone so far off tangent. I'm sorry.
No,
there's no trajectory here. We go where we like.
Speaking of, I was going to ask, do you find like there's more of a stability with doing content like online and in your show and your channel in terms of income and resources that you're able to get as opposed to trying out for these commercials and stuff?
1000%. There's a lot more creativity. There's a lot more chances to show who like you are personally, and like you know, it's kind of weird at like these days. It's like I know there was a phase where they were bringing in content creators, and I never want to call myself that. Never want to call myself an influencer. I'm an actor that likes to do nerdy shit. That's it. So like, don't get it twisted. Like, give me a script. I will dive in. Like that's where I'm at. But I did find a little bit more, to answer your question, I did find a little bit more stability in creating content as a means to an end, because it allowed me to not go back to, you know, the bartending or the, you know, waiter job or, you know, anything like that, the rat race. It kind of allowed me to like, hey, I can pay my bills doing fun stuff that I enjoy on the side and not letting it stress me out. So definitely allowed a little more stability in that regard, because you book a job and then all of a sudden they're on to the next thing, and then your look isn't good enough anymore for the next, you know, 5 or 6 years. But then they come back and they're like, oh my God, where have you been? I'm like, right fucking here.
I mean, we mentioned, you know, the channel Tabletop Jocks. That's like, you know, the bread and butter is Magic the Gathering, as you mentioned, and D&D, stuff like that. What was your sort of first intro to, I guess, Magic, D&D, all that stuff? How'd you get into it?
So first time, it's so funny. First time I played Magic. So I grew up in Flint, Michigan. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but so I grew up in Flint, Michigan. Yes, the water sucks. It still hasn't fixed. It's a tragedy. And it almost went red, which I don't agree with. I'm not going to get into politics, but I'm like, really, Flint? All right. So I learned from a friend who I went to college with. I went to Western Michigan University for undergrad, and we were working at this, like, imagine, if you will, a Disneyland full of airplanes. And it was called the Air Zoo, which is like very weirdly named.
I love that.
But for the summertime, all the actors were like, hey, we're looking for work. This woman named Lynn Jacobson hired us to work as the Air Zoo players. So we were walking around kind of as like cosplay, like aviators. And of course, I was a Tuskegee Airman.
Nice.
But it was dope too, because like the pay was really well, and like we didn't have to work that hard, and we only had to like walk around on the floor and memorize a monologue that was like 2 minutes. So it was like, oh, this is like cake. And so we just had to like wrangle people for like a monologue for like 30 minutes. But we had 8-hour shifts. And so we were kind of like, well, what do I do in my downtime? But he was like, you want to learn how to play Magic the Gathering? And I'm like, what the fuck is that? And so he taught us all how to play Magic in that the downtime of all of us. And so I went and bought my first booster pack. I went and bought, like, it was like Ravnica Returns or something like that, whatever it was. I think so. And there was like a red black deck that I bought, and I was like, oh, I'm super stoked. This is awesome. We were playing all the cards wrong. It was great. And when I moved to California, the first thing I did was, it was such an awkward moment. I was like, I remember washing clothes, and this guy walks by, and I try not to stereotype what the stereotypical nerd looks like, but I saw him and I was like, ooh, he might play Magic. And I was like, hey dog, what's up? Do you play Magic the Gathering?
Oh my God.
No, but I know some people that do. Like, I mean, you ain't lying. So he like referenced me to like a shop that I should go to nearby. Meanwhile, I was in Irvine, California at the time, and I was probably one of 2 Black people. Period. And still am. I think the crime rate went up because I was from Flint, and they were like, "Wait, you're moving to one of the worst cities to one of the safest cities." I think we just gotta put it on radar. Yeah. So I started going to like a local game store and started like just playing with a bunch of locals and like met a bunch of people that played, and lo and behold, that's just how things went. Yeah.
And the channel itself has been like thriving for a while now, because it's, like I said, there's just such a huge roster of people that you can like pull from now, people that around LA and like elsewhere. And when it comes to like sort of the logistics of that, I always find it interesting, putting together like the right group of people, the right sort of setting of like who's going to play who. Is there a lot of sort of strategy into like who's going to be in what episode, and like who's going to be in the group together, or is it kind of just like pulling together what resources you have available to you at any given time?
It's kind of hit or miss. It's like I definitely have like a pool of people that I want to pull from, but I also want to like meet new people. And I'm always down to like bring more people to the channel. I know who I'm cool with. I know how I can like, hey, you are cool. We can shoot with these people, and like it'll be great numbers. But like I try to lean into more towards leaning more LGBTQ friendly, BIPOC, and like marginalized communities, because we don't really see a lot of that in the gaming space. And I kind of want to, not kind of, my mission statement is to bring us into the forefront, or at least on even playing with, hey, we're sitting in the pod full of 4 cis white male guys, as opposed to like, can we switch that shit up anytime? Like I always see the same people playing the same stuff, the same pods being put on. I'm like, I want to put people on that look like me, that like, I mean, I literally did not like Spider-Man. I know you're going to hate me for this. I did not like Spider-Man until Into the Spider-Verse came out, and I got to see the Spider-Verse come together and go, oh, well, it has a lot more to offer than I thought. Let me dive in a little bit. And it intrigued me. And I think that's what I've experienced with going to, like, this year I went to Gen Con for the first time. That was nuts. And I literally had like a group of Black guys in the corner. Like as soon as I walked by, they were just like Tabletop Jocks, and I'm like, oh shit, that's what's up. Like it just like warmed my heart, because that's my goal for the channel. That's what I want to have. I want people to see themselves in the spaces and feel safe enough to go, yeah, I don't have to look through the comments and see a bunch of bullshit. It's like, because I filtered all that out and I clap back at people, and I'm like, if you come in here, you coming for me, you gonna walk into my house and tell me what I can't do in my house? Oh, fuck you. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's not happening. But I love the fact that there's a space. I created a thing called the Cookout, which I was very, very excited to do. It was a kind of like a vision that I had since I started creating content, to do something for Juneteenth, for the celebration of Juneteenth. And this year was the first time I opened it up to the public and allowed allies and other people to come to a gathering of people. And we had the fucking greatest time. Like there was barbecue, there was games, there was good times. Everybody had a great time. There was prizes. Nobody left empty-handed. I had sponsors that, showed up and gave me a lot of stuff. So, sky's the limit. I'm hoping to get to that level of like Comic-Con status where it's like, oh, we're all going to the Cookout and everybody knows what that is. And it's during Juneteenth, and it's like at a big convention, and everybody just shows up and everybody's just hanging out and having a good time.
That kind of goes to my next question, or we talked a little bit about like, having to clap back to people. So I'm guessing that there's been, an evolution in terms of getting all the positive comments to now having to deal with some other elements of that. But what would you say about like building a community, or how do you, create guidelines or guardrails to build a safe community in this for the show and for this, brand that you're developing?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of loud people who are very wrong, and there was a quote that I read once that you allow what I forget what it is, but like basically the energy that you allow to like bring to you and you deal with it, like that's if you negate that completely, you're like, no, these are my boundaries. This is where I'm standing on business. The next person ain't gonna do it because they'll see that, and they'll go, oh wait, you made an example out of that person. I'm not gonna fucking chime in because I'm gonna get dealt with the same way. So I have very strict boundaries and where things go. I have a private Discord that goes through my Patreon. Everybody is very chill. Everybody's cool. And if you're not cool, then bye. You know what I mean? Like you can get to stepping. If you like, we don't allow any hate speech. We don't allow anybody coming in talking that bullshit. I will refund your money. I don't care. I don't need your $3 coming in talking that bullshit to make everybody else feel uncomfortable. This is a sanctuary that we have created with hundreds of people, hopefully, thousands in the future that just want to come through, have community, and have a good time. That's literally what we do.
Yeah, totally. I mean, yeah, and that's like a really hard part of it. It's the catch-22 of evolving in this space. You start off with like a sort of insular, starter pack of people that support you, and that's how you help grow. But as you get bigger, that opens up, just the scope of like who's finding you and stuff like that. There's a lot more obstacles to face. And over the last few years that you've been doing this, like I guess how has that evolved for you in terms of just keeping those sort of like boundaries up internally, I guess, for yourself? Like you're trying to push forward, trying to grow it more, but also just anticipating obviously where the waves come and go for sort of like criticism and stuff like that you don't want to deal with, but you also want to put in its place, as you said.
Yeah, everybody who knows me personally like knows where my limits are. So like I appoint those people as my moderators to know that like, okay, Johnny about to deal with this shit. I'm about to shut this right down real quick because this ain't happening. And I love that about the community of people that I bring into my circle, because they know what it is and what time it is and what time it's not. And I think it gives people more incentive, because I think a lot of people who come from a nerdy type background when they were growing up don't have the I guess like I didn't grow up like that. So like I grew up playing sports. Hence why the channel called Tabletop Jocks, because like that's who I grew up with. That's who I messed with. But then it like came back full center and it's like, oh, now I do both, so but like I hope that I give people, that incentive to like go, no, these are my boundaries. These are the lines you can't cross. These are the things that I'm not going to allow. And if you want to let that happen, you can go off in the corner and be by yourself, be with some bigots and be with some like idiots or whatever. Y'all can go over there. We're going to have fun over here and we're going to party. And so that's always been my incentive to like let people know, yo, this is where the party's at. And if you out here talking that bullshit, then you can go outside and watch us party. And because that's what it is. It's all about love. It's all about bringing people in. It's all about inclusivity. It's all about growth. And I make sure that I surround myself with people who are like-minded, that get that and understand that. And the people who are not wanting to be about that, they can just go off and do their own thing. But like, you're not gonna have as much fun as we are. It's like literally like outside, a storm cloud is hanging over you, raining, you looking at us partying, and we don't even think about it, because we're in here having a good time with the people that we bring in, and everybody's showing love, everybody's giving back to the community. It's just, that's what it is. You know what I mean?
It's just so interesting. I've never really thought about like the magic space as one that needs to particularly think about. We're just tabletop games in general needs to be thinking about representation, but it is like a good point that you see the same types of people playing these types of games, and it's really important to cultivate a safe space for different groups to try out this kind of thing. What would you say your outlook has become or evolved in terms of thinking about this as a business like strategy or a business thing that you're building, as opposed to just like a fun or like even just a social space or a community space?
Yeah, it definitely started off as I just like playing games. You know what I mean? I just like talking like we were doing Nerd Chronic, and we were just like, yo, let's talk about who would we cast as like if we had all these superheroes come together and like who would win, stuff like that. To go into an actual space and being with people who are creators and writers and producers on actual projects and working on those projects and taking it to a different level, taking it to a global level, that it's like, oh, wow, I didn't know it could reach this far. I didn't know that the space was so big and so powerful that it's gotten to the point where, I worked with Wizards of the Coast. I work with so many people on the channel that constantly show up, and they will come back, and like we're just having a good time. And like the amount of people that I've met in the space that are just super just down to earth and chill and cool, that's been honestly the biggest draw to keep doing this and keep it growing, because there's so many positive people in the space. And like also going to the live events, that gives me so much life. Every time I go to these live events, I'm not used to this at all. Cause like when people come up to me and they're like, yo, you do this thing. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? Like, I just treat them like they're my friend. You know what I mean? I treat them like I've known them for forever. I'm an only child. So like, I try to collect as many friends like Pokemon. You know what I mean? Like I'm just trying to get the whole squad together so we can all just go mob up and go have a good time. That's literally my whole goal, is to like get as many people with smiles on their faces and warm hearts and having a good time as I can, because that's what it really boils down to. It's like, if you're not having a good time playing a game, then why are you doing it? Like, It's a game. That's what you're supposed to be there for. And like, there's competitiveness. There's all different types of levels. But at the end of the day, y'all gonna play whatever y'all gonna play, and then y'all gonna go out and have a drink or have a smoke or have whatever, because now y'all are family. You come together and you're developing a community now. So like that's where it started, and that's where it's come to. And I hope it keeps evolving and keeps growing. Like I said, when I get to that level where I can get to the cookout or get to whatever space and have it be like, oh my God, this is like 10,000 people or 100,000 people or 1 million people in this convention, and be like, everybody's having a good time. And everybody knows the boundaries because they've been following me for all these years. And so they know not to fuck around, because if they do, they'll find out. And you know what I mean? So it's like, that's just the level you set at anything, and you start and you just let it grow and you let it blossom.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of our experience with the movie Trivia Schmodown, the show that Jim and I were part of for many years, and where we know
Ben Bateman,
our mutual friend Ben Bateman from it. Just like how there is a level of competitiveness to it that gets diffused afterwards, because you get to have a drink with everyone, you get to sort of go out and share personal times with them. The beauty of that show that I think was the strongest thing was the community aspect of it, that it was based around this understanding of collected people, bringing people together. And it goes to what you're saying, how you want to bring more inclusivity to everything. You want to show people who aren't highlighted elsewhere as much. And that's really the beauty of just like this content creation space, is because you have the agency to do that. Like, as opposed to like sort of traditional media, you kind of have to play your role, and hopefully you can like bring that out yourself. But when you're sort of like operating this space yourself, you can make that call. You can be like, I want people to come in here to have that exposure. And over the years, I guess like, how have you sort of speaking personally for me, I'm trying to do that as well with things like Reactorverse and even this sort of deep linkers and everything, just trying to highlight as many people as we can who aren't obviously the Mr. Beast of the world and so on. We want to expose more people. What are the sort of the processes you have to sort of source that, to find more people, to find friends of friends, like so who you can find out to help expand the net of that you're casting?
It's crazy because a lot of the people that I've met on the channel have approached me about it, and I've been very fortunate to have that happen. The first time I ran into Austin, Post Malone, I was walking into a store and I noticed that he was there, and I was like, oh, that's cool. He's actually a gamer. And I remember him looking back, and like, I kind of looked back too, because I was like, oh, is he waiting for somebody? And then he looked back again and he was like, oh shit, Big Joe, what up? And I'm like, I'm sorry, what?
Wow.
And then proceeded to double down and was like, oh, I'm a big fan of your work. And we dapped each other up. And I'm like, I'm a big fan of your work. Yeah. But that's really what it is. It's fanning over a fan. Like we are fanning over each other. Mm-hmm. And then that brings a camaraderie of like, oh, I would love to work with you. I would love to like collaborate with you. When can we do this? He took my number down and we've been friends ever since. Same thing with Joe Manganiello. Same thing with Andrew Dismukes from SNL. We're friends. Like these people that come into your life, that come into my life specifically, have all been just like, yo, we're big fans of your work and we want to continue to keep helping you grow your channel and let people know like this is what you're about. I'm about the same cause that you're about. Mm-hmm. I had a cat from the NFL reach out, Lionel Williams, who plays on the Seahawks, and his friend, he met a friend through Cassius Marsh, who used to play on the Bears. And, so it's like, I'm friends with him. And he was like, yo, we should all get together. And I'm like, this is literally the most tabletop jock pod of people that got together and played Magic together. Like we all like sat down and we just like nerded out. And it was, and that's what I feel like is the easiest thing that brings people together. And it's like, I also don't want people to come to my set to a certain extent of like going back to like my acting and the sets that I've been on and been like, ugh, I just want to like get my shit and go home, where I also look at that and go, you know what? I would want this to happen if I was on set and this particular scenario. So I try to make the best case scenario for everyone to come on set, have a good time, get in and get out. Most of the time after we wrap, people are like, that's it? That's all we had to do? I'm like, yeah, we good. And they're like, there's no way. That was so much fun. I'm like, well, hopefully you come back. They're like, hell yeah, I'm gonna come back. I'm like, bet. So I try to create that environment to make sure that everyone is having a good time. Everybody is laughing. There's no like stakes to it. Like we're all just like, we're literally friends here playing a game, or just vibing. And I don't want it to feel like a job. I want it to feel like, yes, sure, you're working, but like you're having a good time. So yeah.
Hey guys, Drew Grant here from Passion Fruit. Just wanted to thank you all for tuning into this episode of Deep Linkers. To everyone that's commented on our videos, shared our work, or otherwise supported the channel, we see you, we appreciate you, and we've got a lot of exciting things coming for the creator community at Passion Fruit. If you haven't already, the usual stuff on YouTube always helps us, like hitting that like button and subscribing with that little bell so you'll be notified about new videos. We also have a bi-weekly Passion Fruit newsletter that focuses on the creator industry, which you can sign up for through the link in the video description and the pinned comment. Twice a week, you'll get our best stories, as well as exclusive interviews, expert reviews, and the latest resource guides to help you navigate every stage of the creator journey. We even got a weekend newsletter on the way, with a curated creator spotlight that focuses on the best online content from the people who make it. You. Thanks again for supporting Passion Fruit and Reactorverse and Deep Linkers and helping make your content your business and giving love to people who make the web.
And I know you just made your way out to MagicCon in Vegas the other week. Yep. How was that experience? I just wanted to ask sort of the logistics of getting out there and getting set up and like shooting out there and everything. Just how was the whole thing? How did it go down? Yeah, I mean, MagicCon is been great for me in that regard. The first big Vegas MagicCon was Magic 30. I collaborated again with the homies from Game Nights. We did a Game Nights live. I was a part of the first version of that. And since they've been evolving and growing, and I was so, thankful to be the first iteration of that and have it go down like that. I think one of the things that I love going to Magic Cons in general is just the people. The people are everything. Like the vibe, the camaraderie, the people that like travel across, sometimes the globe. Sometimes they go from like, oh yeah, I'm from Australia and I came all the way here to grab your signature on it. Can you sign this card? I'm like, wow, what? That's crazy to me. That's crazy. Like, oh, I was looking for you specifically to give you this thing and this X, Y, and Z. I don't know if we can show like branded content, but like I got this Wolverine.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I got this like dope Wolverine comic, and it's like one of one. It's actually, if you look at it, it's the card. Wow. It has all the text from the card on it.
Wow. Oh, that's awesome.
So it's like I got that. I got like there was like a Storm one I got. And
That's
so it's
awesome.
like little cool stuff that you get, and I'm just a huge nerd of like all these fandoms. Huge fan of Marvel. Can't wait to the crossover is happening next year. There was already a secret lair that came out that with Black Panther, Storm, Iron Man, who else? Well, Wolverine and Captain America. So it was like, oh my goodness, like this is like what I've been geeking out about from the jump. You know what I mean? Like these crossovers are so fucking cool. And I know there's some people who are just like anti that shit. And I'm like, cool, granddad, go to the closet and go get your old cards out and dust them off and like relive all that shit, because the game is growing and it's evolving. Like the thing that got me into Fortnite was like, yo, you can get a Black Panther skin. I was like, you can get a what? And then they were like, you can get a Magneto skin. I'm like, you can get a what? I'm like, I don't have to be good at this game. I will just play it until I can get that Magneto skin. And I did. I completed every single thing, because that's at the end of the day, it's like, whatever you're into, be into it. I don't want to yuck anyone's yum. Whatever makes people happy, unless it's hurting somebody or doing some weird shit, then, you know, no Diddy. Then make it make sense. Like I will always encourage people, like, especially if I don't like something or like something like really, like if I see a movie, I'm like, that wasn't really my jam. I won't talk about it. But if I really love that movie, like I love horror movies, so I saw Smile 2. That shit was crazy. And I couldn't stop talking about it, and I still can't stop talking about it. And I feel like that's how you build community. I feel like that's an effective way to build community, is to like, yo, I like this thing. Do y'all like this thing too? And whoever like gravitates towards it, that's great. And the people that mesh in and go, well, I don't like this, like, get the fuck out of here then. This wasn't for you. Like, why are you even chiming in? Do you need a hug? Like,
that's the dichotomy, you know, we've seen, I think, develop over the last, like decade or so on the internet, is like the difference in like, positivity versus negativity, and what those two, like approaches, garner for you in terms of like an audience. I think anyone who sort of like, thrives off of like a negative attitude towards like, material or content is just trying to build like specifically an audience. Whereas someone
a certain brand of negativity.
As opposed to someone who uses positivity is trying to build a community, is trying to foster something that can grow and develop. But between that, and over the years, for yourself, once you've sort of reached, the level of, like being recognized, being, seeing a MagicCon, stuff like that, does that change your outlook in terms of like how you what steps you take next, what you're trying to do, the next sort of stage of evolution you're trying to aspire for with the channel?
Yes, definitely. I mean, I think that people have known where I've drawn the line in the sand, and that has turned some people on and kept them by, and then turned some people off and been like, okay, well, this ain't my jam. And I'm like, if you're over here spreading that negative bullshit, go find somewhere else to go, because we over here, we positive, we vibing. We're going to go to the bar after this. We're going to have a drink, like whatever. And that's always been my jam. It's like when I come to different cities and like visit different towns and stuff like that, that's the kind of people that I want to vibe with. So it's almost like me creating a barrier for negativity, and like, okay, you can't come at me with that bullshit, because you already know, you've interacted with me online. You've seen the type of things that I put out there. You've seen the type of the people I champion, and you've seen just the overall like general vibe that this is. So if that's not your jam, please, I encourage you, either go out and make your own shit or go find that vibe. I literally encourage it. I like, because I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and I know that that's not what they are. I know a lot of people, when I initially came off, people were like, oh well, like, and I feel like women get that a lot too in gaming. They're like, oh, you're just here because you're pretty or this and this and this. Like, no, like the fuck? Like, you're projecting, bro. Like, calm down. They like this. Everyone can like the same kind of thing. It doesn't matter what you look like or what you're coming from or what your background is. Like, bro, I'm from Flint, Michigan. I've been shot at several times in my life. And people are like, you've been what? And I'm like, yes, several times.
Jesus.
And it wasn't even my fault. I got mistaken several times. And all three of those times, I'm like, I could have been taken out the game. But that's just the environment that I grew up in. And now I like nerdy shit. So it's like, you can come from any background, from any place, from any walk of life, and you can sit down and you can vibe with whoever. You just have to be open-minded enough to do it. And I want to try to spread that message to like let people know, yo, you can like vibe with whoever, unless there's certain parameters. But you will know what that is. You can draw that line in the sand and go, all right, we ain't vibing on that tip. Cool, we hash it out. I'm gonna go over here and try to find my people, and that's it. Right. And that's what it is. You know what I mean? So my goal is to continue to bring more people to foster, stuff like the cookout and stuff like, they have this school that's inner city I think it's out in like Texas, and it's like mostly like Black and brown Hispanic, and they all love tabletop jocks. They all want to come out. So I'm trying to get them to come out to the cookout. So they all like come out through. We can sit down. We can teach them how to play spades. They probably already know how. They can teach them dominoes. It's not just like, oh, let's all just get together and play Magic. There's barbecue. There's little games over here. It's like literally coming to the cookout. So I'm literally bringing that authentic space that you always hear about. Like, oh man, you invited to the cookout. Yes, you were invited to the cookout, but don't act funny. Don't act weird, because we're gonna kick you the fuck out. As soon as you get there and you act up, here's your refund. Like, I ain't got time for all that. But at the end of the day, it's like, I think people understand, they grow and they learn, oh, I understand what these boundaries are. I understand like how I can like be a better person, be a better human being, be a better individual towards. So when I go back to, wherever they're from, they can go and they can see, oh, this was the love I was shown when I was at X, Y, and Z. Now I will continue to spread that love. And if I see, misrepresentation or somebody like being down or whatever, I can like have their back and be like, yo, let me start to foster a community out here. So it's infectious. It's like, you want to keep that love going so that the love can keep spreading, so that people can start thriving in their own communities and people can keep growing, and then we can all come together. So that's really what it is.
I really loved what you were saying there, Eric, for a second, like when you were talking about like the difference of like trying to build a brand versus trying to build a community. But in some ways, they're kind of part and parcel of the same thing. I mean, have you ever thought about like the ways that you could expand, other ways that you're thinking about expanding like the brand of Tabletop Jocks or what you do?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it could definitely turn into like, I mean, sky's the limit, but like it's Tabletop Jocks. I've had several, athletes come on the channel, MMA fighters. I'm filming with some MMA fighters in January. Awesome. You know what I mean? Like, there's been an MMA fighter on the channel that's still actively fighting, and I think that it could be a crossover to like letting a lot of people know that like, yo, this shit crosses over, like taking it to ESPN or taking it to like the Olympics or taking it just to that next level where you're just like, yo, that's crazy. I did not know. Like, Noah Lyles is a fan. He like I put it on my story on IG, and he was talking about playing Magic. He was talking about Pokemon. He was talking about Yu-Gi-Oh. I'm like, yo, I gotta get him on the show, like straight up. I know Key and Peele play. I know, what I mean? There's so many different facets of people that are into nerdy stuff that like, that's what brings us together. And so I get what you're saying. Thank you for asking that question, but sky's the limit. We can just end up taking over and making it so like accepted, to be a nerd in the community, or to be, in my case, being a blurred in the community, which I think is a very powerful thing, because a lot of people who grew up in my, my situation think that there's only a couple different ways out. And I'm trying to be that outlier and let people know, like, I mean, you got people like Donald Glover, you got people bringing that to the forefront and going, wow, I could do that too. I don't have to be afraid to like really let my nerd flag fly. And I'm like, yeah, you don't. You could take it to Congress. You can make you know what I mean? Like, there's no limit to this at all. So like, that would be my goal, is to like make it so standard. I mean, hell, look at the last 10 years of the MCU and how much it brought people together, and how much it created such a different vibe in what people look at nerds are. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that was such a dope feeling to like go into the theater not knowing anyone and coming out with friends. Right. You know what I mean? Sure. Like, when we saw Deadpool and Wolverine at Comic-Con, that was such a dope experience. I was like, yo, this is this is my shit. Like, yeah, I'm surrounded by my people, and we all get hyped about the same stuff, and we're laughing about the same jokes. Everybody gets it. That's why it took me so long. I didn't watch it again until it came out on Disney Plus the other day, because I was like, I don't want to go into the theater and look around and not see people getting hyped. Right. When I saw Endgame and Cap grabbed Monier, I was like, yo, and everybody stood up at the same fucking time. That was so fucking cool. So like, I want more experiences like that, and I want to be able to give people more experiences like that. So yeah, that would be where I'm like trying to get to, and like constantly growing. But you know, we'll see.
You gotta rent out one of those, like, you know, just big, you know, screens for the next cookout. You know, have like have playing on the background or something like that.
Those big projectors,
yeah,
exactly.
And to sort of, you know, tie things up here. You really, what we're talking about is just like the opportunity to create, you know, spaces for people to experience things that they otherwise couldn't. And again, like having that agency to just like do that yourself, because we don't have to depend on traditional media to give us those opportunities. Like we make it ourselves, we pave our own ways, stuff like that. I guess for anyone who would want to sort of get into, you know, this space, you know, and build like a brand based off like, you know, a specific interest that they have. I guess, do you have any sort of specific, you know, advice or, you know, like, you know, insight on like, you know, what would be the main thing to keep in mind if they're going to build any sort of channel off of any sort of, you know, unique interest?
I mean, you got to do what you love, honestly. Like whatever, like people are going to know if you're having a good time or not. And, you know, that I think that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest draw for people, is like, I don't want to see somebody that's just kind of like taking a trend and like going with it, or like taking, you know, like take a risk, do what you want. Like it may not be the most popular thing, but the audience that you garner from whatever you want to do is going to be more authentic than if you take whatever the most popular thing or whatever the trend is. Yeah, sure, you could have your own spin on the trend. That's fine. But if you do what you exactly love to do, you're going to bring the people to you that love doing exactly that. And that's going to be more of authentic exchange for you, even if it's like, because people have to think about it too. Like I think a lot of people get discouraged when they're just like, oh, well, I don't, you know, have 100, you know, million followers, or I'll have, you know, 100,000 followers or whatever. That's fine. You know, 100 people in a room, that how much that fills up, you have to look at it like that. Oh, and you know what I mean? 1,000 people in a room looks like, if your reach is that, cool. If you know what I mean, 10,000 people, that's a stadium.
Yeah. That's a good point.
That's what I'm saying. So if you start to build that reach and boom, 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 that's all you need. It's to keep you motivated, to have people that support you, to love what you're doing, and authentically, genuinely care about you and all the things you're doing. That's all you need. The growth doesn't have to be instant. It doesn't have to be, oh my God, I have 1 million views on this thing. And then you can make another thing and it's like, oh, I got 600 views. What happened to that million? You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to chase that. It's this, that weird, like, that dopamine hit where you like, oh man, I did the thing. I would rather be consistent with 1,000 views than be 1 million and then get like 2 or 3, you know what I mean? The next one. I'd rather consistently have the community behind me that knows me, that loves me, that wants to see my stuff, that supports me. That's what I would say to strive for, rather than try to go for that big viral moment. That's going to happen. It's going to happen over time, because you're going to continue to do the things that you love to do, and people are going to genuinely see that. And that's just what it is. You know what I mean? It takes a lot of, like, sometimes, like, even like actors in their careers, like, you look at Morgan Freeman, you look at Samuel Jackson, you look at those actors that jump in at quote unquote the later portion of their lives, but they've been doing it. They've been rocking it since before you even heard of them. And they're like, how did you came out of nowhere? And it's like, I've been grinding. I've been grinding. So like, continue to keep grinding. If they're new and they want to keep doing it, just grind. Like I would definitely set a schedule. I would, make a point where if they had time off, if they want to create content, on my days off, I make sure to create at least 10 to 12 different, things, or write them down or brainstorm with someone else who's another creative, who's like-minded, who's positive, to be around. and don't worry about the numbers. It's not going to be easy to like come up, but like if you just are authentically yourself, it's gonna be worthwhile going.
Absolutely, man. Sage advice, I think, for anyone, honestly. Joe, thank you so much for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. We're looking forward to everything that you have going on. Where can we find you on YouTube, social media, otherwise?
Yeah. Thank you so much first and foremost for bringing me in. I'm never gonna get used to this. Like I'm always like, people are like, hey, can you come do a thing? I'm like, you want me to do a thing? Yeah. All right, cool. Even if it's like on like Jimmy Kimmel or like any of that shit, like I'm like, you want me to do a thing? Cool. I'm gonna have so much fun. Yeah. Because that's just what it is. It's just so much fun. But yeah, to answer your question, you can find me definitely on YouTube at Tabletop Jocks, on Instagram at Tabletop Jocks if you want to hear about the nerdy stuff. My government name if you want to know about acting, all the acting stuff on IG. Blue Sky is a new thing. We're talking about leaving Twitter. Fuck Twitter, honestly. Or X, whatever the fuck it wants to be. You can find me on Blue Sky at I think it's at Black Nito. That's my moniker online. It's my online handle because I love Magneto. People are like, oh, I didn't get it. It's like, yes, you take black and you take Magneto and you put them together. It's Black Nito.
I love that. I love that.
So yeah, I'm just on there, just like I got a link tree on pretty much all of my social media. So if you see one, you'll see them all. And again, thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Yeah. Appreciate it, man. You can find us at VIDEODREW and Necrotic across social media. You can find us at Passion Fruit for Us across social media as well. We'll have links to our Discord and Patreon down below. We'll catch everyone on the next episode.
Thanks, guys.